sis, when are you gonna finish? Or bruh, this might be for a man who's watching. Sis or bruh, that's my question for you. When are you going to finish? As a person who is a creative, as a person who has lots of ideas, as a person who is artistically inclined, I understand the process. I understand how difficult it can be. We have the spark of an idea, the spark of inspiration comes to us, and we get excited about it. And we start ideating and we start creating plans, and we've already transported ourselves to the end of the thing before the idea is fully fleshed out. We start telling people about it, and we bring people on board and we talk about what we're gonna do, and everybody starts planning and everybody's imagination kicks in, and maybe we make plans, maybe we make lists of things that we're gonna do, maybe we start doodling in our little notebook or in our little journal, and we are excited about the idea. Our imagination is going, shooting at all cylinders. And then at some point, all of that just fizzles out. The excitement fizzles out, the motivation fizzles out, the journal goes cold and gets dusty. Maybe some of the people who promised to help us walk it out fizzle. Maybe they fade away, and everything just fizzles. And sometimes that happens before we start, sometimes that happens after we start. And people start realizing how much work it's going to take and how much time it might take, and it all just fizzles. And my question is, when are you going to finish? Because the next thing is not going to come to you until you finish this thing. The thing that's in your lap, in your hand, in your mind right now is kind of a stepping stone to the next thing. And this might not necessarily be an artistic thing. I'm talking from an artistic perspective, but it might just be an idea you have for something you want to do in your life. You know, you get excited about the idea of it, but when it comes time to actually put the work in and make it happen and follow through so that you can get to that moment at the end, it fades. I have made a rule for myself. This is a personal rule that I have made for myself. If I start talking about something out loud and start announcing what I'm gonna do, I have to do it. If I tell somebody, and I'm not talking about, saying it to one friend like, oh, I have this idea, but I'm saying when you start announcing things and you start talking about bringing people on board to help you, and you start making these grand declarations of what you're gonna do, when I start doing that, that means I have to follow through. And so I have learned to keep my mouth shut and not make grand pronouncements if I'm not sure that I'm actually going to follow through and put the work in. I have learned. I'm going to give you an example, and this is not an artistic thing, but this is something that I decided to do. In 2019, I ran the New York City Marathon. I am not a runner. I don't enjoy running, but I do enjoy a challenge. And the reason I decided to run the New York City Marathon was because in 2018, for some reason, I was walking down the street on the day of the New York City Marathon in 2018, and the path that I was walking ran across the path for the marathon. So when you're crossing the street and the marathoners are running in the street, they have people to stop you from walking while a big group of marathoners comes through. And then when there's a break in the group, then you can walk. And I saw this, and I was thinking to myself, I've lived in New York for so many years, and I've never, ever once thought about the New York City Marathon, but this happens every single year. And I thought to myself, I want to do that. I want to do that. But I kept it to myself. And then I went to work. At the time I was doing The Lion King on Broadway. I went to work that day, and I started talking about seeing the marathoners, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to run the New York City Marathon. So then I knew, oh Lord, I just announced this to a bunch of people. Now I got to do it. Now I have to do it. So I started training, and I entered the lottery to run because I didn't have a bunch of qualifying runs under my belt. So the only way I could get accepted into the New York City Marathon was to enter a lottery. And do you know, my lottery number got picked that day? It should have been a lottery for like multiple millions of dollars, but it wasn't. It was a lottery for me to run 26.2 miles through the streets of New York City. But I knew that because I had said it out loud, I now have to follow through on this. Now I've announced this to a bunch of people. What does it look like if I don't actually do it? And I'm not saying that you need to be concerned or overly concerned about what people think of you or what people's opinions are of you or what you look like to people. I'm not saying be a people pleaser at all. But what I'm saying is that when you are gung-ho and excited about an idea, so much so that you start inviting people into the process, so much so that you start announcing it to people, you have to follow through. You have to follow through. You can't walk through life with just a trail of unfinished ideas behind you. And then people wondering, well, what happened to that thing? And what happened to that thing? And what happened to that thing? Not only are you not keeping your promise to other people, you're not keeping your word to other people, or you're showing other people that you're not going to follow through, but you're also showing yourself that you're not going to follow through. And that's the worst thing you can do. That's the worst thing you can do. You have to keep promises to yourself. You have to be able to trust yourself. Yourself needs to know that it can trust you. Yourself needs to know, all right, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Tryphena needs to know that Tryphena is gonna follow through on Tryphena's inspiration, spark of idea, whatever it is. And I don't believe that God lets random thoughts come into our minds. Yes, random thoughts can come into our minds, and we have to make sure that every idea that comes to us is for us to do, because sometimes stuff just comes. That doesn't necessarily mean it's for us. But when we have decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, I believe God gave me this idea. If you believe God gave you the idea, then that means you have to follow through on it. You're the one to do it. You are the one to do the work. You are the one to bring it to pass. You are the one to have your face on it, your name on it, to be the representative for it, whatever that is. And a lot of us want to ascend and go to higher heights, and we want to advance, whether it's in our careers, our artistic endeavors. If your career is artistic, you want to ascend. But neglecting a bunch of ideas and moving on to the next thing while you have a bunch of unfinished things behind you, that is not the way to ascend. Because everything that you complete is a stepping stone to the next thing. So if you just have a bunch of ideas that you're telling people, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and God told me to do this and God told me to do that, but you never finish any of them, you don't have any stepping stones. You just have broken promises strewn about. That's all you have. So I want to encourage y'all to finish one step after another. And this is the thing that happens, is we get excited about the end. In our minds, we can see what the end looks like. And it's hard to go from nothing to something. It's hard to imagine how you're going to get there. When you look at your hands and your hands are empty, or you think your hands are empty, because your hands are never empty. You always have something. That might be another video, but you always have something to work with. When you look at what looks like nothing, and then you imagine what the end product is going to be, and you think to yourself, I don't even have anything that looks anything like that. Well, yeah, because you're supposed to take what you have and create the thing. A tree, I'm looking at trees over here. A tree does not look like a dining room set. It does not look like a big, beautiful table that extends with a leaf and multiple chairs. That's not what it looks like. It looks like a tree. But somebody looked at the tree and said, all I have is a tree, but I need a table and some chairs. You have the raw materials that you need. A cake, when it's beautifully iced and decorated and it's huge and it's lovely, started off as flour, sugar, eggs, water, baking soda, maybe some flavoring, maybe some food coloring, all of those separate ingredients that by themselves make nothing. But someone had to have the idea and say, I want to make a cake. What do I have? Well, I got some flour, I got some eggs, I got some sugar, I got some, if I put all of these things together properly, I can make a cake. So all of those things together, all of those things separately don't look like the big, beautiful cake that you imagine in your mind. But if you do the work, if you do the work all the way till the end, you will get to that big, beautiful cake. I saw a video today on some platform, probably Instagram, and it was a woman talking about how much time we have in this life. And she said the average person lives to be about 85 years old. Okay. And she had a tape measure. And she said, okay, so let's find 85 on the tape measure. She found 85 on the tape measure. She cut the tape measure. She said, this is about how much life the average person has. And she said, I think she was 69. She said, I'm 69. So then she cut off at the 69 mark and she said, this is how much life I have lived. And these 15 years, 16 years, this is how much time I have left. She said, I have lived more life than I have left if I live the average amount of years that most people live. You've got 69 years that you've already lived. It's over. You can't change it. You got to throw it away. It's over. Not throw it away, but you got to leave it, because you can't do anything to change it. You can't dwell on it. You can't lament about it. You just got to leave it. But she looked at the rest of the tape measure that was left. From 69 to 85 is 16 years. That's not a lot of time. In the grand scheme of her whole life, that's not a lot of time. Don't live your life and get to the point to where you have more time behind you than you have ahead of you and you haven't done the things. Don't let that be your story. Don't get to that age or any age really and look behind you and say, oh my goodness, look at all of these unfinished things. Look at all of these dreams that I didn't push through to the end. Look at all of these projects and ideas that I had that I didn't follow through on. And again, I'm not talking about every single idea that comes to your mind. So many ideas can come to our mind. But there are specific things that God has given you that God will breathe on if you just say, okay, I'm going to commit to doing this. But if you say that you're committing and you don't actually do the work to follow through, then you just have a bunch of scattered ideas. I had to pause to talk to some people. One more thing I want to say. We get excited about our idea. We start telling people what we're going to do. And people come on board. And they add ideas to our idea. They say they're going to help us. And they talk about who they can connect us with. And they talk about what they're going to do to make it happen. And then at some point, they lose their energy or their life shifts and they fizzle out and they are no longer present to help with the idea. That sucks. That sucks. And sometimes people can be unreliable when you thought they were going to be reliable. And that sucks. And there are lessons in that. One lesson is be mindful of who you're bringing on board. Be mindful of their capacity, because a lot of times people get excited as you get excited and their capacity isn't quite what it needs to be in order for them to actually do what they say they're going to do. So, and that's not a judgment, that's just an awareness. So be mindful of the capacity of the people who you are bringing on board with you. Be mindful of your own capacity, but also recognize that God gave you the idea. It is your job to bring it to the finish line. And yes, that includes bringing people alongside you, but that also includes letting people go when they decide that for whatever reason they can't finish with you. Everybody who starts with you isn't going to always finish with you. And that can be a hard thing because, you want to bring people along. You want to go with people. You want to do with people. And when you go and do with people, when you have the right team with you, you can go much further and much faster and with much more purpose. You can build more fortified foundations so that everything you build onto the foundation is strong. But recognize that everybody who starts with you isn't going to finish with you. And you can let yourself feel that and mourn that when people leave or when people fade or when you decide that you realize you have to let people go. But God gave you the idea for a reason. You're the one to bring it to pass. You're the one. You're the one. You are the one. That's it. That's what I got for y'all today. So if you don't know me by now, my name is Tryphena Wade. I am a professional actor, Broadway, TV, and film. I am a certified master life coach, and my specialty is fearless living. And I'm also a globetrotter, and I'm currently in Ghana. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye-bye.